What's up guys, Dr. Webb here. I'm an orthopedic spine surgeon here in San Antonio, Texas. And in this video, I'm going to be reacting to Dave Ramsey's reaction to a physician who has over $400,000 in debt. Now, Dave Ramsey is the financial guru. He is someone who I've looked up to and I listened to. I've took his course, read his books. Someone that I follow for financial advice. I don't follow everything, but I do take what he says. I do take it to heart and I try to apply those things to my life. So we're going to see how he's going to react to this physician's debt, how he should tackle it. As you know, most medical students that come out of medical school, they graduate with $200,000, $300,000 in debt. What's the best way to approach that? Is it to pay off your student loans aggressively and live like a resident? Is it to go out and enjoy life? Hey, you've earned it. You've spent 10, 12, 14 years of your life in training. You finally start to make money. Should you actually enjoy that money and then pay back your student loans? Should you pay the least amount as possible and then invest the rest because of the interest rate that is really low or is zero now? Let's check it out and see.
Josiah in Tulsa, Oklahoma starts off this hour. Hey, Josiah, what's up?
Hey, Dave, good to talk to you.
You too, man.
So my question is, I am currently a resident physician in family medicine here in Tulsa. I have a total debt of just shy of about $430,000, 415 of that being student loans.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
I just like Dave Ramsey's reaction to students or people that call in and say, hey, I have all this debt, I owe all this money, especially when it comes to student loans. He's anti-debt or anti-taking out loans.
So, but where I sit now, I have one source already of loan repayment coming in through the Army Reserves. That can total amount of $250,000, and it's split up into increments of $40,000 per year. I'm also looking into an employment option through the state of Oklahoma and through this employer that has $200,000 in loan repayment over a 4-year period, so $50,000 per year. So my question is currently in baby step 2, how would I go about that fitting into the baby steps if someone is, the majority will be paying off these loans? Should I pile up cash in the meantime while I'm going through those phases and set it aside in case anything happens, or?
So the baby steps that he's referring to are Dave Ramsey's 7 baby steps to getting out of debt and also taking control of your money. So the first step is actually to save $1,000 for emergency fund. This is something that I think is really important, especially in this economy and these days where people are losing their jobs, the economy is down. You have to have something to fall back on. So $1,000 is just, I personally think it should be a lot more than that, but for the average person, that's a lot of money, and I think it's just a beginning. What I try to do is save 3 to 6 months of expenses. So if my expenses are $10,000 per month, I'm saving, or I have in my savings anywhere between $30,000 to $60,000 just in case I can't work for 3 to 6 months. The second baby step is to pay off all of your debt using the debt snowball. And this is where you pay off your debts, from the lowest amount to the highest amount. That will essentially give you the motivation to pay off the next one. So if you have debts ranging $1,000 on a credit card, $50 on a Macy's card, $75 on, some other credit card, pay off the $50 first, the $75, and then the $1,000. And then you want to save 3 to 6 months. Okay, that's baby step 3, 3 to 6 months of expenses in a fully funded emergency fund. I think that's important. Number 4, invest 15% of your household income in retirements. And I think that's a good number to kind of think about, 15, 20% going away for retirement. Number 5, save for your children's college fund. Number 6, pay off your home early. And number 7, build wealth and give. So those are the 7 baby steps that he's talking about when he referred to the baby steps of Dave Ramsey.
Let's say you get both of these deals. Do they stack? Meaning that you're going to get the whole thing paid off.
Correct, yeah. So it'd be double dipping, as I call it, in a sense. So they're separate entities. One would be coming from the Army Reserve. The other one would be coming from this this program, this statewide program.
Yeah, you won't be able to finish the Army Reserve because the total is
The good thing is he has 2 opportunities to pay off a substantial amount of his student loans. A lot of people, like myself, I don't have anything like that. There's no public service forgiveness because I'm in private practice. I've already served my time in the military, so they're not going to pay anything else. It's just basically me paying off my student loan balance. But that's good that he has a large portion of his student loans that could be possibly paid off.
More than you need.
Say that again.
250 and 250, you said, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, and that's 500. You only have 415. So the last 2 dips from the Army Reserve you won't get to, right?
Yeah, so it's pretty much a per year type of thing.
I know.
I can opt out or in of that.
Yeah, I'm just saying that you'll opt out. You won't need all the whole 250 from the Army Reserve because
Correct.
it comes over a 6-year period of time. So
Correct.
what'll end up happening is that you're going to be done with them paying it in about 4 years.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Just making sure I got my head on straight. So, as you said, family practice, right?
Correct.
What are you going to be making?
And so at this job, it should be right around about 300 or so.
Okay. Let me tell you the things that I normally tell people.
Actually pretty good for a family practice doctor, depending on what part of the U.S. that you're in and what type of practice. 300,000, that's actually pretty good.
And let's figure out how to screw them into your weird situation. All right. Normally somebody calls me up and let's say they've got $50,000 in student loan debt and maybe they make 100 or 150. Okay. And they say, hey, my job is going to pay this off over 3 years. Well, I normally would tell them to be debt free a lot sooner than 3 years. And so what I'll tell them to do in that case is I want you to put $50,000 in a bank account to sit there until your job pays off this loan for you over 3 years. That way, if the job blows up, you can write a check and you're debt free. See what I'm saying? So I'm trying to figure out how to use that principle here because I really do want you to have these 2 entities pay off your 415 over 4 years. I want that to occur. That's an awesome benefit from both of these things, serving your country and obviously signing a competitive, in a competitive landscape, signing a contract with a medical outfit, okay? So I want all of that to work for you, but I also don't want you to sit there and one of these things blow up on you for whatever reason, and then you end up 3 years from now with still $150,000 worth of debt. So I guess probably what I would tell you to do is let's try to get $100,000 in savings before we call you debt free, and then we'll ride this 4 years out. And just as a contingency fund in case something gets.
Actually a good plan. I think, especially in this economy, COVID pandemic, where contracts were canceled, people have lost their jobs. At the end of that 4 years or that 3 years, 2 years, that commitment, the hospital or the agency or whoever is promising you that you're going to pay that money may be bankrupt or they may be out of money. So it's good to have something to fall back on, such as money and your savings. And then just in case it doesn't work out, you have to leave that job, or if you get fired for some reason, you have that money in your savings that you can just apply to it. I think that's very smart.
Sideways. I don't know. Here's a weird example. This is not going to happen, but I'm just trying to think of bizarre things that have called in here over 30 years. Let's say you get into this contract with this employer, and you get in there and there's an ethics problem, and you have to walk. You're going to lose your dadgum license because they're just doing stuff, right? You got to walk.
Right.
Now you just lost $250,000, and you're halfway through this contract, and so you're still sitting there looking at $100,000 worth of student loan debt that it's going to take you a lot longer to get through. And so I think having that extra 100 laying aside as a contingency way to step back into this, George, is going to be a way to kind of call it debt free.
Yeah, because there's some outside forces here that he's relying on to get this debt paid off, which I don't like. But if they're surefire and he can stack up this cash and then he goes, oh, all right, this thing's actually going to work. They're paying all this debt off for me, and now he's got a pile of cash to continue the baby steps. I like that positioning.
Long as you stay in the reserve, I think that's one you can depend on. But I think the rough and tumble world out here in the real world is stuff happens and these employment deals blow up.
Yeah.
And I don't think it will. I think he'll be okay. But you have to, where people get themselves in trouble with money is they run out the best case scenario, and that's the one they believe. And that's the only way it works, is if it all works. And so you got to run out a scenario where if it doesn't work, what's going to work, that also works. See, that's the beauty of being debt-free, living on a plan, living on less than you make. That works in good times, and that works in bad times, overall, as an overall principle. It's the only set of overall principles. Borrowing up to your eyeballs works if you want to buy a bunch of real estate, nothing down, as long as real estate goes up and all your tenants pay. Ha, 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 ha. You know, it doesn't work, right? Yeah. And so you got to have a contingency plan in a worst case scenario. Then if your plan works in a best case scenario and a worst case scenario, you got a good plan.
Yeah.
That's good battle planning if we're going to use an Army Reserve.
Yeah, I like that analogy. And he's in a good spot. I mean, this is a huge pile of debt. And so if he can get this thing wiped out in a few years, he's going to be in a great spot. But man, that's a big hole to dig out of, and it's nice to have that help.
Key 2 words that he said, it's contingency plan. I think it's always important to have one. I think this physician's plan to pay back his debts is a solid one, especially if someone is at the end of this term or this time commitment will pay back this amount of money. That's the way to go. Otherwise, you know, my thought process and the way I've approached this is to live frugal, number 1. Number 2, be really aggressive in terms of your payoff. And number 3, I'm under the thought process of, you know, if you can invest a portion of that money, the interest rates have been 0% for the last 2 years. So if you can get 5% or 8% or invest in real estate during that time, you know, stockpile some cash and just keep it there, but also have cash that you can invest to make money off of that instead of putting all of that money towards your student loans when the interest rate is very low. But these are just my thoughts. Check out my other video about my student loan progress, and I'll put that right up here. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.